Hello and welcome back to another week in new genre books. My name is Amelia, and from Locus magazine, I'm going to tell you all about the new science fiction, fantasy, and horror books being published the week of May 7th, 2024. First up, science fiction, which is the French word for it, but also pretty close to what it was called when H.G. Wells was writing it, which would be scientifiction. We have 5 titles. From award-winning and best-selling Canadian author Robert J. Sawyer, who's also just a nice guy, we have The Downloaded, out from Shadow Paw Press in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel. 2 very different groups undergo cryonic suspension with their active minds uploaded. Astronauts, supposedly on a one-way interstellar mission, and criminals serving their sentences in a VR prison, wake up hundreds of years later, the only survivors on a post-apocalyptic Earth. From Simon R. Green, we have Hide and Seek, out from Baen in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction novel, second in the Jekyll and Hyde Incorporated series. London cop Daniel Carter, member of the Hydes who battle the actual monsters in London's criminal underworld, now faces aliens. No hiding here. We're out in the open, facing the monsters. From Kaliane Bradley, we have debut The Ministry of Time, out from Avid Reader Press in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction time travel romance novel. A woman assigned to a government project bringing people out of the past falls for a man from 1847. Immediately, I want this relationship to work out. He sounds charming, she's got a job. What could go wrong? From Dave Duncan, we have The Traitor's Son, out from Shadow Paw Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a dystopian science fiction novel. On a doomed colony world, Doig realizes his dissident father's death was no mining accident and finds himself being monitored by the colony leaders. What's he gonna do about it? From Ray Anderson, we have Lift, The Rise of Math-Lingua-Musica, out from Keylight in hardcover, trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction novel first in a series. In 2489, a time travel project seeks to bring history, math, and linguistics and music geniuses to the present to create a universal language to cure humanity's virus, greed, theft, and violence on the brink of World War IV, which, this is an aside, but I'm grateful to that unit we had in 5th grade or whatever when we learned the Roman numerals, because that's what's in my script, is Roman numerals. And also World War IV? I guess we made it through 3 okay. That's a relief. From Charlee Dyroff, we have first novel Loneliness and Company, out from Bloomsbury, USA, in hardcover and ebook. This is a dystopian, near-future science fiction novel about a woman in a secret government project to combat loneliness by training an AI to be a friend. From John Ringo and James Adie, we have Beyond the Ranges, out from Baen in hardcover and ebook. This is a science fiction novel. After Earth is destroyed, thousands of humans are offered a life on a planet on the far side of the galaxy by mysterious alien benefactors. Next up, Les Horreurs, we have 2 books. From John Connolly, we have The Instruments of Darkness, out from Atria in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a mystery thriller / horror novel, the 21st in the Charlie Parker series. Charlie senses a possibly paranormal twist in a case involving a young mother suspected of killing her missing child. From Lindsay King Miller, we have debut The Z Word, out from Quirk Books in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a queer horror novel. Recovering from a bad breakup is complicated by Wendy's ex hooking up with her friends and people turning into zombies. Finally, in Fantastica, we have 14 titles, and if you're getting something out of this, please hit that like button for me. I don't ask you for a lot. That's the thing I ask you for, like, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see these videos in your feed again. We don't know where these videos go when we put them in the internet. From the talented Andrea Hairston, we have Archangels of Funk, out from Tor.com in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel set in the world of Will Do Magic for Small Change. Cinnamon and her circus bots and dogs work to provide necessities for flood refugees on the run from the water wars, while disruptors, the Nostalgia Militia, and the Darknet Lords wreak havoc. From Ladarian Williams, we have debut novel Blood at the Root, out from Labyrinth Road in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult fantasy novel, the first in a trilogy, about a teen on the run from his past who finds the community he needs at an HBCU for the young, black, and magical. From Niveau, we have The Brides of High Hill, out from Tor.com in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novella 5th in the Singing Hills Cycle series. Cleric Chi accompanies the fallen family on a trip to a strange estate to arrange a marriage, only to learn more about what happened to the potential groom's ex-wives. From Tim Akers, we have The Eccentrics, out from Baen in trade paperback and ebook. This is a dark fantasy / sword and sorcery novel, the third in the Night Watch series, led by the 8th incarnation of Nikola Tesla. The Society of Eccentric Geniuses protects the mundane world from the horrors of the Gestalt, a timeline of the future that never was. That seems like a job for Nikola Tesla. From the very entertaining Jasper Fforde, we have Red Side Story, out from Soho Press in hardcover ebook and audio. This is a satirical fantasy novel sequel to Shades of Grey, set in a segregated world where social status is determined by what colors a person can see. From Selva Almada, we have Not a River, out from Grey Wolf Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a fantasy novella about a river thick and dark as ink, teeming with life, memory, and ghosts. 3 men out fishing raise the wrath of locals. 2 local sisters invite the outsiders to a dance, and one must wonder what's really going on here. This was translated from the Spanish by Annie McDermott. From David Ciminello, we have The Queen of Steeplechase Park, out from Forest Avenue Press in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a magical realism novel about a Depression-era burlesque queen, Belladonna Marie Donato, known for her enchanted recipes. From Francesco Dimitri, we have The Dark Side of the Sky, out from Titan Books in paperback and ebook. This is a fantasy novel. The Bastion has been labeled as a doomsday cult, but they might be humanity's last hope. From Gareth Hanrahan, we have The Sword Unbound, out from Orbit in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is an epic fantasy novel, the second in the Lands of the Firstborn trilogy. Once lauded as a mighty hero, Alf is now labeled a traitor and hunted by the gods. From James Logan, we have The Silverblood Promise, out from Tor in trade paperback, hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel, the first in the Last Legacy series. Card-sharp dropout and disgraced heir to a noble house, Lucan Gordova investigates the murder of his estranged father. From Andrea Lynn, we have Dust Spells, out from Camcat Books in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult historical fantasy novel inspired by the fairy tale The 12 Dancing Princesses, set during the Great Depression. A handsome drifter shows a struggling family a portal to a mirror world full of much-needed food and trees, but there's a price. There's always a price to magic. From Willow Smith and Jess Hendel, we have Black Shield Maiden, out from Del Rey in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a historical fantasy novel, the first in a series. Yafiu, a young warrior, is stolen by Vikings from her home in the flourishing Gahanian Empire and taken to a distant kingdom in the north. From My Corland, we have 5 Broken Blades, out from Red Tower in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a dark fantasy romance novel inspired by Korean history and lore. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been summoned to work together. Their mission? To kill the God King June. From Rebecca Zahabi, we have The Lightborn, out from Golance in ebook and audio. This is a fantasy novel, third in the Tales of the Edge series. Freed from his prison cell, the former slave known as Tatters is finally ready to face his past. Now his true nature is known to all, he can use his Lightborn powers freely. That wraps up this week. Thanks for spending some time with us. At Locus, we set out to tell you everything relevant that's happening in the science fiction, fantasy, horror publishing space. This magazine and the YouTube channel are a labor of love. We are at Locus Mag or at Locus Magazine on most platforms. You can read more about the science fiction, fantasy, and horror field over at www.locusmag.com or show us some love by donating to our Patreon. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Come back and see us again soon, and we'll be here next week with more new books.